The Rockets season is over after a really wretched offensive performance in Game 7 against the Golden State Warriors. They fell tonight 103-89 at Toyota Center, and now a long offseason with a few questions is ahead of us. We'll talk about the loss. We'll talk about some of the things that might happen next. I'm Paul Gallant, and this is the Gallant Says podcast.
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people wonder.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to see.
Are you kidding me? Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Hello and welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast. I am Paul Gallant. In case you don't know me, I host a sports talk show in Houston from noon to 3 on ESPN Houston, and you can catch me doing this bad boy after major Houston sporting events and generally weekdays around 4 p.m. Central Time. We're recording it right now at 1:30, about 15 or 20 minutes or so after I got back from watching Game 7 tonight at Toyota Center, and it was not a very good game. We'll get to it in a moment. But you can watch this live on YouTube at Paul Gallant. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and like the video. It's also on Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a sub on that if you're more of a Twitcher. It is on X and Twitter at Gallant Says, on Instagram at Sports Gallant, and on Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. It's also available after the fact wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, and SoundCloud. If you want to cut me off mid-thought, you can super chat me on YouTube. I will play this.
Paul, stop talking. Listen.
And I will just stop mid-thought and answer whatever comment you have. If you don't want to pony up the change, though, I will eventually get to your comments. What's up, Jalen Baker? He says, cruel world, Paul. Houston sports. Yep. Does seem to happen a lot. Kay Hogan asks, does Jalen Green have a man ram tramp stamp? I have no idea what that reference is to, but Jalen Green, this was a rough performance for him, as was just about everything for the Houston Rockets offense tonight. We know that they are a fantastic defensive operation. We know that the culture that Ime Udoka has installed in this team is respected across the league. Ask the Warriors after tonight's game. Draymond Green went out of his way to compliment what the Rockets have built in just a couple of years with Ime Udoka running the show. We know what they can do defensively. But the last couple of games, their offense was relying largely on Fred VanVleet to play at a level that was on par at times with Steph Curry. Eventually, that was going to stop. And the Warriors, who are also a great defensive team, did a fantastic job in tonight's game of putting pressure on Fred VanVleet and making it difficult for him to get even a little bit of space. They did the same thing with Jalen Green, and what we ended up seeing as a result of that were a lot of offensive possessions where the Rockets couldn't even get to the point where they could take a good shot. And obviously all these young players are mostly to blame, but you do have to wonder if during the offseason, if Ime Udoka is going to be taking a look at potential assistants to add on his staff to give this team a little bit more of an offensive identity. It is difficult to score when you do not have many reliable three-point shooters, but man, it was just so tough for anything to get going. I mean, they had 32 points with about 2 minutes, a minute and a half left in the first half. And you saw them fight and claw their way back all third quarter. And they made it, I think, a 3-point game at one point, or it could have been a 3-point game at one point. And then all it took were a couple of moments where Steph Curry was doing Steph Curry stuff, and it was 13 points again. And you knew, oh, man, it's going to take them forever just to get back within striking distance. And this is what we've seen out of them when they've struggled offensively in this series. It's just been ugly and difficult to watch. So things are going to need to change this offseason. This version of Rockets basketball is definitely fun. They play an enjoyable brand, but they're going to have to score. They're going to have to actually score. This is pretty simple shit, no? So how they get better at that, that's going to be on some of the young players on this team. And it's also going to be on the coaching staff. Some comments here. Kay Hogan said they looked for too many whistles instead of just playing their game. They should have known from the get-go that this game was going to be called in a way that a lot of stuff was going to be overlooked, you know? It was going to be really difficult for, I think, the free throws to come for the Rockets. And yeah, you take a look at the end of the game. I mean, they got to the line a lot. 15 to 21 from the line. Not great, but they've been worse in this series from the free throw line. I mean, they got their shots up. They got their attempts. But this was a series where the physicality, for the most part, the refs let it happen. And in Game 7, I think that's the way to go. I think it would have been bullshit if they turned this into a game where they were just enabling the Rockets' bad offense by sending them to the free throw line every single time. And by the way, I mean, yeah, they got to the free throw line a lot. More comments. Scott asks, why does this always happen to Houston sports? Texans can't beat the Eagles, the Vikings, or win in the second round, and the Rockets can't beat Golden State in the postseason. I mean, lots of sports towns have similar boogeymen that just consistently shove you in a locker, you know? I know for the Colts for a while that it was the Patriots, and you could say so many other teams were saying that about the Patriots back in the day. A lot of teams say this exact same thing about the Golden State Warriors, you know? Jalen Baker says, Udoka is a terrible offensive coach. Can we please get a few plays run for Jabari Smith, the only shooter on the roster? Well, I mean, he didn't have a great game either. He was 1 for 3 from outside. He was 1 for 5 from the field. A lot of players stunk today. I thought Tari Eason, that was one of the worst games I've ever seen from him. Steven Adams, he checks in, and he's got the big standing ovation, but he was missing easy shots. I think that's a real thing that you look at. The Rockets just missed a lot of easy shots in this game, you know? Alperen Sengun finished 9 of 23 in this game. And before we get mad at Sengun, who had a rather hollow double-double, 21 points and 14 boards, remember he's young. And also remember that Draymond Green is a fantastic defender. He's strong. And Draymond just made Sengun work all series long. Sengun, after the game, said that his shot this season was worse. It needs to be better. Could be because he's putting in more effort on the defensive side of things. But when you watch him, there's a strength that's not quite there yet. He needs to be stronger. It feels as if his size, for whatever reason, he doesn't know yet how to use it to get closer to the basket. Defenders do a pretty good job of keeping him from getting right underneath it. And Sengun tonight, he just missed a lot of easy shots. And that could be the physicality that the Warriors are throwing at him, but he's going to need to be stronger next year. His touch is going to need to be better. He's going to need to be in better shape. I like that after the game in his post-game press conference, he said all of these things, but yeah, this is going to be real tough for him this offseason. He's going to have to take his game to another level. Can he? I don't know. We'll see. I like that he's self-aware enough about it. So we talked about Sengun. We also got to talk about Jalen Green. It's been a rough series for Jalen Green. And look, it's not like he's done nothing at all, but the big and I thought he had a couple of nice moments tonight, but the big problem for him is that it's very easy to take him out of a game. The Warriors were throwing double teams at both him and Fred VanVleet, and he just didn't handle them well. And when he had open shots, he didn't hit them. He shot 37.5% tonight. So were there some moments where you liked what you saw from him? Sure, but there were other moments where he had defensive lapses. And I think there's a very good chance that we have seen the last of Jalen Green as a Houston Rocket. I don't think it's as high as a lot of people online are probably pushing, but Jalen Green and the way he played, you got to wonder if he can bounce back from this. There was a lot of defense for him afterwards in the post-game availabilities. Ime Udoka defended him. Fred VanVleet defended him. And I'm not going to get on his case too much. I mean, he's 23. You definitely need more from him, and he's definitely not looking like a star. But when I look at Jalen Green, I see a guy that best case scenario on another team is going to be a sixth man. And it's because of his inconsistency. This is a guy you plug in and you put him in against the backups, and he's got the speed, the quickness, the dribbling ability, some shot creation ability. I mean, he does a lot on his own that I think could be really good, but I just think as a starter, the consistency that he has yet to show means that there's probably going to need to be some sort of role change for him. How much better can he get this offseason when it feels like confidence was the big issue for him? How do you get more confident? Does he have a Jaylen Brown kind of offseason where he gets better at dribbling overnight? I don't know. But it's a rough one for him. I feel for him. You know, I don't think it's for a lack of effort. But he said multiple times in this series the moment got too big for him, you know? On YouTube, some more comments here. Kate Hogan asks, in your opinion, do you wait for players to develop, or do you trade them for a proven closer or scoring option in crunch time? Well, that's what we're going to find out. For those who don't know, I'm a Boston Celtics fan, and I really like what the Celtics have done over the last couple of years, building themselves up to get to where they're at now. And there were lots of moments where people were of the belief that they were going to have to trade Jaylen Brown, maybe even Jason Tatum, for a top-of-the-line start. They never did. Now, the Celtics have, I think, a model organization these days. I think Brad Stevens as a general manager is a really good feel for basketball. And, I mean, look, they've gone seamlessly from Stevens to Udoka to Joe Mazzulla over the last couple of seasons. Clearly, there's a really strong foundation in place. Rockets have that to a degree, but where's the development? Because it feels like all of these young Celtics players from when they first came up, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, to, you know, Derek White when they bring him in, to what you're seeing out of Peyton Pritchard. There's a lot of development there. Guys have gotten better over time. Are we going to see that from Jalen Green because of the coaching on this staff? It's going to have to happen if they want to stand pat. Like, he's going to have to make some serious progress this offseason. As will, and this guy was the best player on the court for the Rockets tonight, and I have no complaints about him. Thompson just needs to get some range in his game. Thompson, I thought, played really well, but the big thing for Thompson is he just does not have a three-point shot. And if you don't have a three-point shot in today's NBA, I mean, you are a tad archaic. But he was really good tonight. He had a couple more moments defensively. He was, at times, the only consistent player for the Rockets offense. The problem was it's just so hard to create shots for a guy like Thompson, who needs to be basically by the hoop. So the Rockets had to basically just make a bunch of passes and hope that they would have a good angle to get it to Thompson to feed him underneath the basket so we could get something that was close. Jalen Baker comments, here's a plan. Instead of trying to get KD, trade Jalen Green, Whitmore, and Jabari Smith for Booker. Anything to get off Green. I don't think that will get it done. I don't think it'll get it done. I think really the Rockets, if you want to make a big-time trade, it's really going to be, I think, dependent on where the Suns pick that they have falls. There's a chance it's top 4. But I think at this moment in time, it's rather unlikely that they're going to end up with a top 3 pick. They've had some bad luck with the lottery over the last couple of years, so maybe they are due. But yeah, man, this one was a rough one for the Rockets. It really was. I will give some credit to the Warriors, though. I know we don't like Draymond Green, but I felt that Draymond played his ass off in this game. And I know there was that moment with Fred VanVleet where Green always just gets so spastic and ends up kicking people and elbowing people and shoving people. It happens so much. It's funny. VanVleet, I was concerned for him for a little bit, but I saw VanVleet on Draymond Green's podcast and this offseason, and he was making fun of how he accidentally kicked Steven Adams in the nads once. So they have a good relationship, and I even asked VanVleet after the game, hey, what happened on that play? And he said that was nothing. But to bring it back to what Green does, Green finishes with 16 points, 7 of 15 from the field, but early on in the game, Green had 8 points in the first quarter. He might have even had 10. And then defensively, to just make it as difficult as he did for Alperen Sengun, it was a hell of a performance. He's 35. He's a big guy. He played 40 minutes. Steph Curry played 46 minutes tonight at age 37. 46 out of 48 in a game where the Warriors had it in hand at the end. Jimmy Butler played 45 minutes. I really felt like those guys nutted up. And it's tough to beat a team that has veterans like those 3. It really is. Also tough to win when Buddy fucking Hield comes off the bench and goes 12 from 15 from the field, 9 of 11 from outside for 33 points. He was getting a lot of open looks. He kept on taking shots. Maybe the Rockets thought to themselves, yeah, we're cool with him getting these wide open shots. But after a while, I don't know. And then there would be some lapses where he would get free and take another open look. And you're thinking to yourself, what the hell's going on here, you know? More comments here. Kay Hogan says, role players beat the Rockets. Our core players didn't make them pay, and their role players smoked us. Yeah, you're right about that. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it. This is a quickie edition of the Gallant Says podcast. Ultimately, this offseason, it's going to come down to development for Alperen Sengun, getting stronger, getting better touch. It's going to be on Jalen Green developing confidence over the offseason. If he's not able to do that, then the Rockets should find a way to trade him. And I am imagining that they are already picking up the phone and making calls to see who is interested in him. They will pick up Fred VanVleet's club option. VanVleet earned his entire contract with the last 3 games he had against the Warriors. I get that he didn't advance to the second round, but clearly his leadership is greatly respected. The Warriors brought it up all series long. And, of course, his play did a lot of talking too. But they're going to need some more pieces. Young pieces that have upside or someone that's already an established presence. I would imagine they're leaning towards the latter. It could be Kevin Durant. But right now they don't have enough. They play great defense. The offense is just brutal to watch. Some of the worst basketball offensively that I think I've ever seen. The Rockets did it tonight. So there you go, guys. There's some other comments here, but I'm gassed. I'm yawning as I'm talking, so not ideal. Anyway, you can catch the Gallant Says podcast in a variety of different ways. If you ever have a question, send me an email, gallantsays@gmail.com. It's live on YouTube at Paul Gallant. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe. It's on Twitch at Gallant Says. Give me a sub if you haven't. It's on X and Twitter at Gallant Says. On Instagram at Sports Gallant. Follow me on that. Also, clips from the show, I post them to my TikTok and Instagram. At Gallant Says is the TikTok handle. Also on Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports. Like my page. We're on Monday through Friday around 4 p.m. Central Time and occasionally after major Houston sporting events. Also available wherever you get your podcasts. So if you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review me on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. If you roast my ass, I will read it. Until tomorrow after the radio show from noon to 3, ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. And check me out in the 9 o'clock hour on Fox 26. And then, of course, we do a live stream perhaps tomorrow. We finally do it at 4 p.m. Central Time. Until then, all those times, I am merely Paul Gallant. So long, farewell, and have yourselves a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Peace.